station can be found in zones 4 and 5, standard class in zones 6 to 8, cycle spaces in...
Hello and welcome to West Country Wanderings, and welcome back to the county of Cornwall, to one of my railway series. I'm currently here on the Cornish main line, which is thus there. It's good to see they've still got semaphores here, which is kind of part of our story today, but kind of isn't. I'm here at Liskeard, which is in mid-east Cornwall, and I'm about to catch a train to the town of Newquay, which is on the Atlantic coast. And actually it's a through train which has come from Bristol Temple Meads. I wasn't aware of this, all the way through to Newquay. So Liskeard all the way to Newquay, but you can catch it from Bristol. Just for information, if you live in the Bristol area, you want to go to Newquay for a day out, you can. I think it leaves Bristol Temple Meads about 6:45. I'll check that and put it in, but I think it's something like that. I wasn't even aware that there was a through one. I thought those had ended with the end of the summer because we're now in September. But anyway, this is coming from Bristol Temple Meads. We're hopping on here to Newquay to have a look at Newquay Station. And we'll probably have a look a bit around the town as well, because we haven't done much on Newquay here on West Country Wanderings. Do hope to have a longer stay in Cornwall soon. But today, I'm here all day before I head back to Gloucestershire. And yeah, there's the signal. It's just changed behind me, if you spotted that, and it's just coming there because another train's about to come through, which is a train going to London Paddington from Penzance. That's about to come in on that platform there. The reason I want to have a look at Newquay Station is because they are rebuilding there. Not the entire station, but they're building an extra platform. I'll explain why they're building an extra platform when we get to Newquay. So, see you soon in Newquay. So we're on the train on our way to Newquay. I've got my tea from Liskeard Station. It actually says Cornwall Rail Coffee Company, and the reason it says that is because the coffee shop on the station at Newquay is actually run by the Bodmin and Wenford Steam Railway. So if you're in Liskeard anytime, why not support the steam railway there as well? So we're heading off. I think we've actually probably got this carriage to ourselves. We've certainly got one of these double seats here, so I've got my daughter opposite me, and we're just enjoying a nice relaxing journey now on the way to Newquay. Well, I hope you enjoyed that 2-minute journey to here, Newquay Station on the Atlantic coast. That train from Bristol forms the 11:15 departure from Newquay right through to London Paddington. So it's good that they now have through trains once more here outside of the summer peak during midweek. It's not a Saturday, right through to Paddington and also down from Bristol. I think there's a return departure to Bristol. And our train this afternoon, which leaves about 3 o'clock-ish, will be going back right through to Liskeard. I'm not sure where it's going on to after that. I'm not sure if it's another departure to London or whether it's returning back to Bristol. But it's good to see those through trains again. The station here used to be served by Cross Country as well, but those services stopped in 2020, I think, during the pandemic. I'm not sure of the reason for that, but lots of things happening here. Now, I include some footage now because when I came in on the train just now, you could see the new platform under construction. You can actually make out the old platform, so you'll see what I shot out the window. You can actually see it here. So the old platform is going along there, and you can see the new platform there. There's the London train, so that's all happening over that side. In fact, they've got works for construction of the new platform both sides of the railway. So we're on a very long but very single track railway and very long platform here. So that'll be a new platform over there, and the compound for the construction is just the other side of the Network Rail fence here, right on the edge of Asda's car park. So if you know where Asda is in Newquay, that's where it is. But you can also see remnants of the platform, the original platform, right down here. And we'll go on down there and I'll tell you a little bit about the history of Newquay Station because it's fascinating. And then we're going to have a look at the Newquay Harbour Railway, which is just the other side, and get you some beach shots and coastal shots here. Got to be done as we're here in Newquay. So the railway station here at Newquay opened in 1876. It was originally part of the Cornwall Minerals Railway, which was later bought out by the GWR, of course. Originally, there was just a single platform, as there is here at the moment. It was actually a short single platform with very little in the way of services. Later, though, in 1902, another railway was added here, and that was the line from Newquay to Truro via Perranporth. In fact, it linked up with some of the old mineral railways around Triamble at a place called Shepherd's. If you want to know more information about that, have a look at my video about the Newquay to Truro Railway, which I did about just over a year ago, looking at what remains of that line. So you had that line coming in, and then the viaduct, which takes it over the valley there, Tranance, which is where you've got the park and Newquay Zoo, that was doubled. It was a wooden affair construction, and it was replaced in 1939 by the structure that you see here today. So it's quite a grand entrance into the town of Newquay. Later on, sadly, I think it was 1962, the line to Truro closed, and that was the start of kind of the rundown of what had been a very peak period for Newquay Station between the early 1900s and right through into the 1940s and 50s. Before the line closed, though, to Truro, a lot more was added here, including carriage sidings and additional facilities for all of those holidaymakers. There were through trains to places like Leeds, Liverpool, Manchester, Newcastle upon Tyne, Glasgow, Edinburgh, of course, London as well. So it was very well served. Obviously, the services dropped off as they went into the winter. But the tradition of those Saturday services continued right after that line had closed, the Truro line, through the 60s, 70s and 80s. I remember when I was at RAF St Morgan and seeing those Saturday special trains. There was about 6 or 7 of them, locomotive hauled right here to Newquay and going off to those aforesaid places. Unfortunately, in 1987, this platform here was completely condemned because it was deemed to be very, very unsafe. Around that time, the signal box, which was just down there, was taken out as well, and the whole thing was rationalised to the single line track that you have here today. But of course, that's all about to change. When this new platform has been done and rebuilt and reopened, it will mean a whole new beginning for railway services here on the Atlantic coast to the Cornish town of Newquay once more. So what's this Cornwall Metro project, I hear you cry? Well, if you remember a few months ago, a video at Listwithiel looking at the demise of the semaphores there, but they also lost them at Truro Station as well. And that links into this project because in order for the Cornwall Metro project to take place, they needed to do a lot of re-signalling. So apart from the platform that's happening here and the additional line, so you'll have 2 trains here, there's going to be an additional passing loop. And I saw part of that when we went through Tregost Moor. That's where the old section of the A30 used to be, with that low bridge that you always used to get hit by lorries blocking the main road into and out of Cornwall. So there'll be a new passing loop there, as well as the existing one being maintained at Goonbarrow Junction. As far as I'm aware, Goonbarrow Junction signal box, insert clip of that now, we saw that this morning as well, where they do tokens. That's going to be retained as well. I don't know if that's going to be replaced at a future point. What it'll mean from 2025, next spring, is going to be an hourly service from Newquay right down to Parr. And into the following year, in 2026, they're going to extend those services from here all the way through, not only to both St Austell and Truro, but right on to Penryn and Falmouth. The branch from Penryn and Falmouth, which is called the Maritime Line, currently has a half-hourly service. So that will still continue, but what they'll do is they'll extend the services on here to Newquay on the Atlantic coast. So in talking about improvements here, what we're going to do now is have a look at the original railway here before the station opened, and that was down to the harbour, which was a horse-drawn tramway which had a bit of an incline, and it finished at a tunnel going down to the harbour. So we can see what we can see of that route and what remains of it today. And then I'll finish the video by looking at nothing to do with railways, a little bit of coast and seaside as we're here on the Atlantic coast in Newquay. So we're about to leave Newquay Station site now. I just remember in the early 1980s when I arrived here at RS St Morgan that the station building was there when, say, it closed because that platform was condemned. Let's see if I can find a shot of that now. We also have a banner here, photograph now, telling the customers about the improvements here. Has to be said that the station here at Newquay, well, it was completely run down and there isn't much in the way of facilities of it. And I do remember in the early 1980s when I was working here how grander a station it was, even though a lot of it wasn't currently being used. So we're going to leave the site now and follow the trace of the old line down to the harbour. The other thing to say was that in terms of passenger loadings, it was pretty high for being early part September, people boarding the train heading back to Paddington, even though the schools have gone back. So there is this canopy here, which was just put in a few years ago. Let's head out of the station site. So now we've been talking about the new developments here in Cornwall town of Newquay. This is a little bit of the legacy. So this actually opened 25th of October 1849, and it was the main line down to the harbour, which we're going to follow now, and you can walk part of the original route, which is great to see. You have actually got these inlays inset in the path as well, which is really good, so it kind of gets you into a feel of it being a tramway. It was originally horse-drawn and later replaced by steam locomotives, and when it got to the harbour there was a bit of an incline there, and then there was a tunnel as well, and we'll see if we can use that entrance there. I think it was used by fishermen at one time. I'm not sure what the current use of it is. The use of the tunnels changed over the years, but yeah, I'm not sure what the current usage of it is. But it's a nice walkway to connect you from the railway station if you get off the train from Parr or further afield, like we've done today at Liskeard, coming from Bristol, and into both the town centre and also harbourside. So we'll continue on here for a little bit longer. Sorry about the noise there, they're cleaning the streets, but that's always good to see. So that's an original surviving bridge of the Cornwall Minerals Railway, which headed down to the harbour here, which is great to see that intact. In fact, it was really interesting. I couldn't get a shot of it. When we were coming up to Quintrell Downs, there is a new overbridge, a road bridge, going over the Newquay branch line. And that is to do with King Charles's town. I forgot the name of it, which is, it's a bit like his Panbury one near Dorchester in Dorset. It's very, very similar type of buildings. And it's good to see that the new road bridge that goes over the Newquay branch has been done in a very similar style to this one here on this old railway heading down to Newquay Harbour. Now, nothing to do with the railways at all, but this site here above the beach, Towing Beach, is where the Beatles filmed parts of the scenes of their film Magical Mystery Tour way back in 1967. And you've got this plaque here which was erected around about 2002, one of the mayors of Newquay, and there's that famous photograph of the four of them just on the grass here with the Headland and Headland Hotel in the background. See if I can dag that out, see if I can use it if it's not copyright. But yeah, so we're just going to head down now to Towing Beach in the harbour. This area has recently been restored. It's called the Killer Court. I don't remember it ever being called that in the 1980s, so I don't know where the councillors have got that name from. It doesn't seem to be a local name or any connections, but if you do know anything about the Killer Court, drop it in below. It seems to be something, and they says on the sign there aren't aware of the origins of it, but I'm sure it wasn't called that back in the early 80s when I was living here. But yeah, we've just got great views now heading down to the harbour, and yes, there are people out surfing. And we had an awful day yesterday with very, very heavy rain, so I was a bit worried about filming today. There are some darker clouds coming in, so I'm hoping the rain's going to hold off just for a little bit longer until I finish the video here in Newquay today. But we'll just have a look down there now. So that's the famous island with the famous suspension bridge, which I think it was built around the turn of the last century, around about 1900. In fact, it was around 1900 that Newquay grew up from being a small fishing village to the tourist mecca is today. Sad to see that the house on the right on the mainland is now fallen in disrepair, but the one on the island itself is undergoing some restoration to its roof. So here we are, early September in Newquay. Good to see that the RNLI are still out in force watching over those surfers here with those notorious tricky waves, and they're over towards the headland. Now we need to head down here, which I think was like a sea life centre. It may still be so. And that's where we need to have a look for the rest of our railway. So yes, I think it's still the Blue Reef Aquarium, advertised as the ultimate undersea safari here. It's a colourful shot that, isn't it, with the beach shop there with the traditional seaside paraphernalia and the flags as well. So that's our harbour wall over there. We're heading in that direction. Now our railway line is kind of lost in its route at this point, and it's difficult to work out exactly where the upper part of the incline and the tunnel was. See if I can find an old map so it pinpoints it. Been so much development in Newquay since 1900 that it's been really explored. Back on the beach. So here we are, West Country Wanderings on a beach. Yes, we haven't been on a beach for a little while. Been doing things in and around like Bristol area, South Gloucestershire, Somerset and Gloucestershire. So it's good to see the seaside and the coast again. Like I said before, it's always difficult to get into Devon and Cornwall during the summer months, but now September I'm hoping to return to Cornwall again next month for a longer period to film like 3 or 4 videos. So apologies for no Devon and Cornwall content for over the past month or so. But yeah, it's really magnificent to be again. I was based over there at RAF St Morgan. If you've not heard of RAF St Morgan, then it is what is now known as Newquay Airport. I just managed to see a shot of a plane taking off from Newquay Airport when I was there. In fact, when I was there, it was the USAF were based there, as well as the Marines as well. And it was Nimrod aircraft and on Navy reconnaissance. I didn't actually work there, it was just the accommodation because I was a single guy living there, but I was actually working at RAF Portree, which is about 20 miles a bit further down the Atlantic coast here in Cornwall. Yes, I think that'll do as my screenshot here in Newquay. Good to see these caves here. In fact, one connects to a hotel. I don't think it's used as connect to the hotel. In fact, there's one over by the island there. It's been bricked up now to shore up the bank there because of the coastal erosion. So they would have been used, you imagine them being used in smuggling days, all the contraband hidden there away from customs and excise officers. Now, though Newquay is obviously a tourist area with lots of visitors, even here in September it's still pretty busy here today. I think people are taking advantage of the fact it's sunnier today than it was yesterday, but I think we are in for some rain later on this afternoon. It still retains lots of interest and history, particularly along its coast. Some of the town itself has been overdeveloped in my opinion, but there are lots of beautiful places you can find. I particularly like down at Porth, which is like a little village about a mile away. Also not far from here, places like Crantop, which is well worth exploring as well. So there is still a lot in this area, even though it is a tourist hotspot. So this is where our Newquay Harbour Railway would have come out from the mineral line. Over there I mentioned about the place called Shepherd's. We had that branch down to Tramble there on Perranporth sand dunes. And it would have come down through this tunnel there. You can see it's on the incline. And there would have been branch lines of railways heading down onto the harbour wall to serve the needs of the fishermen. Sadly, it all declined. Wasn't used much after 1900 as tourism became more important here in the town, and the line actually closed in 1929. I think the railway was lifted in the 1930s. Later on the metals were used as part of the Second World War effort, but it's good to see that the tunnel is still here. In case you're wondering what Newquay Harbour looks like, well, here we are. It's a slightly unusual design. Very thick protective walls to protect it from the Atlantic waves that crash in regularly. On the entrance and exit to the harbour is there, sharp right, just beyond that survey vessel there, the Cornish flag flying, and it has that unusual plinth in the centre, which was built to accommodate the needs of the fishermen here in Newquay. Well, it's always good to be back in good old Kernow, place I've lived more in the West Country than any other, both when I was in the Air Force and when I was working elsewhere as well. So it's a place that's very, very familiar to me. And it's good to see that parts of the town are unchanged, but other parts, well, you can't hold back progress, can you? I hope you enjoyed this little railway adventure today here in the town of Newquay on the Atlantic coast on West Country Wanderings. Hope to see you on the channel again very, very soon. And I do hope to bring you another video from Cornwall as well. See you soon. All the best for now. Cheers. Goodbye.